upon a time there was truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hey there, Jordan Sheridan, live, New York. This is Status Quo, and I am very proud to say I lit this entire wonderful studio and green screen all by myself today, all by my lonesome. I lit this wonderful studio, which is not my specialty, so I'm very proud. We have a green screen behind me because we're still working on permanent setup. For those of you that have been following as the technology turns, yesterday we were able to go live without a problem, and I believe today we will not have an issue, knock on wood. But we haven't put back in the green screen graphic behind me, so you're stuck with me and a green screen. But I think me and a green screen is better than most of the corporate crap we see nowadays. It is Labor Day weekend. So right now, all across the United Corporations of America, disgruntled workers imprisoned in the capitalist system are at happy hours, at beaches, at pools, at bars, drowning away their sorrows of the capitalist order in this here United Corporations of America. But I am not. I am here live with you, the members of the Coup Day Cavalry. And good morning to you in Australia. People are the power. So, we're being suppressed on YouTube. We're almost at 62,000 subscribers, but somehow we only have 94 people watching as we start this live stream. So remember, you can help get those numbers up by smashing the like button. The more people that press the like button, which is the thumbs up button right under this video, the more people that will see the live stream. We got 100 people watching, 50 of you have pressed the thumbs up button. So please, kindly, sir and ma'am, press that like button right under the video. If you're watching on your phone, all you got to do, get out of the live chat for a second on your phone, press the X button, press the thumbs up button, and then you can go back into the live chat. We appreciate it. Smash that like button, smash that like button, smash that like button. I have to go to work in 35 minutes. LOL. Hey. Sorry to hear that on Labor Day weekend. Become a Status Quo member. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Follow us at Status Quo. We are almost at 10,000 on the Twitter, which is a modern miracle since we really haven't been tweeting for months. We just started tweeting at Status Quo about a month or two ago, very aggressively. You could subscribe to our podcast. There's the link. And also go to Status Quo Podcast on the Google. Rate us 5 stars. Leave a review. That's how we'll go up. And go to statusquo.com. Enter your email. Please enter your email. So, folks, got a lot to go. And I know I got a lot of competition. You know, it's very difficult because in one area, if you're thinking strategically as a business, because Status Quo is a business, you want stability, you want continuity, you want consistency. So we try going live generally at the same time every day, 5 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, sometimes I'm late, 5:15 Eastern, depending. We're trying to do better, but we don't exactly have a huge staff. So we try to go live at 5 o'clock Eastern, but sometimes it's 15 to 20 minutes late. But Bernie Sanders, stop competing with status quo. I don't appreciate it, Bernie. You're going live when I am live, and it's eating into my audience here. So can you do me a favor? Don't go live at 5 o'clock Eastern, Bernie. I know you're trying to run for president. I know you're trying to give people health care. I know you're trying to save the planet. I know you're trying to give people education. But I don't really appreciate you stepping on my toes and our toes. Okay, Bernie? I'm just kidding. Bernie is live right now with the Medicare for All town hall, so hey, what can I do? I gotta go live, gotta pay the bills. So, remember, smash that like button right under the video. Now, I want to remind you, we haven't been pushing it that much, but we're going to start pushing it a little bit more because we're getting to the finish line, folks. We're getting to the finish line. Close, close, close. So we just passed $68,000 on our GoFundMe, and even better than the $68,000, I'm proud, we passed that $1,500 mark. So 1,500 people have donated to our GoFundMe, which is awesome. That's in 11 months. 11 months. 1,500 people have donated. And to tell you the truth, that's deceiving because for three out of those 11 months, we couldn't even live stream. Remember, for those of you OGer subscribers, we were blocked from live streaming for quite some time. 3 months. So really, we've raised that money in relatively short amount of time. 8 months, really. We've raised $68,000. Our goal is $85,000, so we are about $17,000 away from reaching that goal. If people, before they go to the bar this weekend, before they go to the beach, before they go to the pool, before you go to yoga, before you go light up in your place, if you got, the minimum for GoFundMe is $5. If you got $5, we really, really appreciate it. If you got 10, we appreciate it even more. If you got more, we appreciate it. Feel free to let us know because the money, we are trying to get to that 85,000. So we have even more of a runway to start hitting the road and covering the campaign more consistently. Unlike some outlets, we don't ask you for money and not show you what we're going to do with that money. We showed you. We didn't tell you what we're going to do with the money. We've told you. We've been all over this here, United Corporations of America, with the GoFundMe donations, and we want to get on the road to cover Bernie. We want to get on the road to cover the campaign. We also want to, frankly, challenge the man I'm going to talk about in a little bit, Joe Biden. But, money don't grow on trees. I cannot print money like our federal government, so we need our audience to help us, and we are also not being sleazy and behind closed doors trying to get money from plutocrats and the very people destroying this country. So we really, really appreciate any amount. $5 is the minimum, but whatever you can leave, thank you. And I just want to give some shout outs because we got some Joan, $27 2 hours ago, and Clifton, $7 this morning. So thank you for that. And if you can, keep it coming. If GoFundMe is not your cup of tea, you could also leave it here in the super chat. We appreciate it. So, Colin Tooley, our editor, our graphic designer, outdid himself once again. Joe Biden's campaign is gaslighting the United Corporations of America. What a graphic. Wonderful graphic by Colin. Give it up. Give it up in the back. When I say gaslight, I mean Joe Biden's campaign is very, very, very obviously trying to make down as up as down, straight as sideways, and reality as it's no big deal. And I, frankly, and status quo, even though it's not the most comfortable thing to do, even though we could be attacked, I and status quo have frankly been leading the charge for weeks now of reporting, and I say reporting because I think it's backed by facts in front of us, that these are not gaffes that we're seeing from the former vice president. A gaffe is when you put your foot in your mouth. A gaffe is when you say things you should not say. A gaffe is when you step in it. And Joe Biden has been known to do that throughout his career. A gaffe is not stumbling over your words. A gaffe is not closing your eyes and quasi-falling asleep during interviews. A gaffe is not forgetting the president that you worked for, President Obama, a gaffe is not forgetting where you are. A gaffe is not misnaming the two cities that just had massacres. These are not gaffes. And I think the danger in allowing the media to pretend they are gaffes, the danger in allowing Joe Biden's campaign to gaslight the American people and pretend, oh, this is just Joe being Joe, is if you trust your eyes right in front of you, well, these gaffes, i.e. clear cognitive impairment, are only going to get worse. I mean, think about it. Think about physically. If you're just talking about being older and physically, the strain of a campaign. I mean, I was 30 when I was traveling around the country for the Young Turks on this campaign trail, and I was drained. I'm sure I'll be drained now at almost 33 if I get the money to travel to cover this campaign. Hint, hint, GoFundMe. Hint, hint, GoFundMe. Hint, hint, GoFundMe. Jen will put it in the super chat. And this is a super chat. So, but think about mentally, if you have an impairment, or if you're just age-related decline, which happens to the best of us, the more you travel, the more burden on you, the more stress of a campaign, the more it's going to happen. And just to remind you what I'm talking about, for those of you who didn't watch yesterday, take a look at Joe Biden speaking the other day.
Because they invaded another country and annexed a significant portion of it called Crimea. Right. He's saying that it was my boss, it was his fault. He's saying that it was my boss, it was his fault.
That the volume on that video when it was shot was not super strong. So if you didn't hear it, he forgot.
My country and annexed a significant portion of it called Crimea. Right. He's saying that it was my boss, it was his fault. He's saying that it was my boss, it was his fault.
That the volume. President, my boss. President, my boss. Is that a gaffe? Or is that somebody who has a real memory problem and somebody who cognitively is not all there? Again, I keep saying this. This is not meant to mock Joe Biden. I don't wish him anything as far as mental illness, physical illness. I mean, I don't like him. I don't like his politics, but, I ain't that cold-blooded. If that one's not enough for you, here's another one.
On Medicaid, they automatically be enrolled with no cost. In addition to that, we also have a mechanism to control drug prices. It's not, we're no longer using chemical-based things. All this thing we're dealing with, cancers and other issues related to the immune system, are bio-oriented. They're very expensive, and we should set up a system, which I propose, which I will if I'm elected president, that allows the folks at automatically be enrolled with no cost. In addition to that, we also have a mechanism to control drug prices. It's not, we're no longer using chemical-based things. All this thing we're dealing with, cancers and other issues related to the immune system, are bio-oriented. They're very expensive, and we should set up a system, which I propose, which I will if I'm elected president, that allows the folks at the folks at health and the health department.
In that one clip, Joe Biden could not say the word mechanism. So, sorry if you're hearing this twice because you watched yesterday, but Joe Biden forgot what the Department of Health and Human Services is called. When Joe Biden tried to say the word mechanism, we saw what happened there. And frankly, every single day it's one more thing. 0 point. We'd hear about it for a month if it was Bernie. Hey, 0 point. You're wrong. If it was Bernie, they'd be immediately calling for him to drop out of the race and resign as a senator in the United Corporations of America. If it was Bernie, they would call for him to drop out of the race and resign as senator from the United Corporations of America. Period. We know that. And thank you very much. Kush Renata, $5 in the super chat. The memory issues I've seen with Joe, I've seen in my own parents. I am their caretaker. Exactly. And again, I hate to keep saying disclaimer, but I just want to be clear. What we're talking about here is not to mock the man. It is, do you want to beat Donald Trump or do you not? Because this is only going to get worse. But even the worst part to me, honestly, is, and Jen could kind of talk about this because Jen, before Status Quo existed, was a volunteer for Justice Democrats and Real Brand New Congress. So that she was dealing, and they were dealing with many different candidates. So you have a lot of interaction with the candidates if you're a volunteer or if you're high up as a paid staffer in a campaign. So you're the one in meetings with them. You're the one talking to them in meetings, on the phone, all that. So you have the most interaction with Joe Biden. If you're a volunteer, well, maybe not a volunteer, but if you're working on his campaign. So they must see what we're seeing in public events, even more so, because they're with him way more than anyone else sees him publicly. But Joe Biden's campaign, their answer to this, and frankly, his wife's answer to this, because his wife obviously sees him more than anyone else, is to pretend what we're seeing with our own eyes isn't real. This, an email from the Biden campaign. In case you missed it, they're sending out a CBS News article. So what? South Carolina Democrats not bothered by Joe Biden's gaffes. With a link to a news article. This from his communications chairperson. And it's not just that they're not bothered. Every voter asked about gaffes in this story talks about how Joe Biden is real, has heart, and understands them. And this is, again, tweeting out this story. So what? South Carolina Democrats not bothered by Joe Biden gaffes. And by the way, I don't just blame Joe Biden's campaign for basically whitewashing what anyone with two eyes can see. I blame the media outlets printing this crap and even allowing it to be spun that these are gaffes. How is it a gaffe to forget the president that you worked for? How is it a gaffe to not be able to speak, to be stuttering through your words? Not in that one clip I showed you, it was every single point he was making. He can't say the word methodical or mechanism, excuse me. He can't remember the Department of Health and Human Services. He's closing his eyes because he's forgetting. And you have MSNBC, CNN, CBS. When I say that the media doesn't cover these critical issues, they cover up these issues, this is case in point. They are covering up what every single person with their own eyes is seeing. And I got news for you, folks. It's very, very dangerous because it's September in 2 days. That would mean you're October, November, December, January. Little over 5 months left till the Iowa caucus. If Joe Biden remains in the race, I mean, whether we like it or not, it's quite possible that he could win the Iowa caucus. Not definite, but it's possible, right? It's definitely possible. Well, you want somebody winning the Iowa caucus that it's very likely that if the Iowa caucus is 5 months from now, then you're talking 7 months from then. I love you, Jordan, but Nina's speaking. This is what I'm talking about. Stop competing with me, Bernie. I've had enough with you doing live streams while I'm live, Bernie. And Nina. No, I'm kidding. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I got to go live, but Bernie's all over the place. So if he's live when I'm live, so be it. Thanks for being here rather than with Bernie. So what I find so troubling is his wife, his campaign, the media, who all claim, you heard Jill Biden, she said, even if you like another candidate more, even if you like somebody's health care plan more, you like their issues more, hold your nose and vote for Joe. Because at the end of the day, the bottom line is we got to beat Trump. Well, if that's the Joe Biden campaign and his wife's view, you are putting this country, also known as the United Corporations of America, at grave risk by putting forward your husband when he's not well to do it. And, I've already gotten attacked on Twitter, Jordan, this is beneath you to talk like this, and you're not a doctor and this and that. I don't pretend to be a doctor. I'm not diagnosing him with something in specific, but as a reporter and someone with two eyes and someone who's not afraid of losing access to Joe Biden's campaign. So make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. This is why the media won't accurately start asking questions or start pointing out, this doesn't look like gaffes. This looks like there's something going on here. Why? Because they don't want to lose access to his campaign. They know where their bread is buttered. They're going to lose access. They won't be able to talk to Biden's campaign officials. They might not get in to his events. They won't get interviews with his campaign people. And it's all an access game because the corporate media is a for-profit racket. A for-profit racket. And this is why we are pushing so hard. If you got $5, $10, $20, donate to those without cognitive issues. No, I'm kidding. Donate to those who want to go in the field and have already shown you they will go in the field. Status quo. We need to hit that 85,000. And frankly, I am just keeping it real, folks. I'm keeping it real. At the moment, we don't have a ton of money to cover the rest of the campaign. A lot of that money that you have so nicely and generously donated to the GoFundMe, we've already spent on in-the-field reporting in Flint and Detroit and Cleveland and Seattle and Vancouver and Dallas and Virginia and Chicago. Oh, and the recent debates, I shall add. So we appreciate it. Every amount counts. We're $17,000 away. And the other thing here is very simple when it comes to Joe Biden. Does anyone think if the problem in 2016, wasn't so much that Donald Trump got more votes, he lost the popular vote by 3 million voters, folks. If anyone thinks that the problem was that Donald Trump got more people, no. The problem was Hillary Clinton did not bring out the full base of the Democratic Party. Why was that? Because she's not inspiring and she was corrupt. Oh, wonderful. Jimmy's going live too. What a day. If the problem was a lack of inspiration, how is that going to get any better? Do you think people are going to be inspired to come out with someone or come out for someone that can't construct a sentence, that's stuttering over their words, that doesn't know where he is? I don't know about that. I don't think that's a formula for success. And I think his campaign, frankly, playing with some real fire here. playing with some real fire. Because I don't want to hear a damn thing from Joe Biden, and I don't want to hear a damn thing. Oh, thank you for choosing me over Jimmy. I love Jimmy, but yeah. I don't want to hear a damn thing from these people if they push Joe Biden to be the nominee, and then when Joe Biden loses. I don't want to hear them blaming progressives. I don't want to hear them blaming progressive media. I don't want to hear them blaming Bernie Sanders supporters. Blame themselves, because everybody here has been screaming, iceberg right ahead. Iceberg right ahead. And they're listening, but they don't care. They don't care one iota. But the corporate media is not only helping Joe Biden. The corporate media is not only helping cover up for Joe Biden. Corporate media is doing everything they can to alter reality when it comes to Elizabeth Warren. Let's take a look at this.
Continues to be the front runner, of course, and the two polls released yesterday show him significantly ahead, almost 2-1 among his nearest rival. And while Biden holds his lead in the polls, Senator Warren has been speaking to the growing crowds. Nobody gets those crowds like she does. Biden certainly doesn't. Last weekend, she saw her largest crowd yet. Her campaign estimated that was 15,000 people out in Seattle. Warren's crowds have also caught the attention of Trump, and that's next.
Nobody gets those crowds. Give credit where credit is due. We're not saying that Elizabeth Warren isn't getting decent crowds. She is. She is. Nothing wrong with saying she is. But when he says nobody's getting these crowds, well, this is just one. They tried to say Warren had a bigger crowd at the Iowa State Fair than Bernie, but look at the pictures. They had to remove those white tents to make room for Bernie. That is Elizabeth Warren's crowd. That is Bernie's crowd. No tents. I guess Chris Matthews' producers just missed Bernie's crowd at the Iowa Fair. And by the way, Bernie Sanders' campaign, they're being careful. They're not going down that road of criticizing Elizabeth Warren. But this is an official campaign statement, but I think this is relevant. This from Winnie Wong, who works for Bernie's campaign. Not to rehash it, but this is real. Campaign people don't willy-nilly speak out if they don't think the campaign wants to push back. So, I'm not saying that's an official Bernie Sanders campaign statement, but what I am saying is that is a pretty, she's in the Bernie Sanders campaign. She's not a volunteer. She's a paid advisor. And she's pointing out, no, Elizabeth Warren's not getting bigger crowds. And by the way, you don't have to, we're not knocking Warren's crowds. She ain't my cup of tea. Warren's not my cup of tea. And thank you very much. We just got a GoFundMe donation from Jeffrey Barker, $25, helping us get to $68,068. Ooh, can we reach 68,100 before the end of this live stream? I might wrap up by the time Jimmy starts because I'm don't want to compete with Jimmy. Wish I knew when he was going live every day, but that's a different story. Can we get to 68,100? Who's got that $32? But honestly, what's so ridiculous about this is the corporate media propped up Trump. The corporate media propped up Trump to the point of no return, to the point where people got an impression, oh, this is this supernatural movement. People got this impression that Trump's larger than life. People got this impression that Trump is serious. And that helped get him massive exposure to people. But what the corporate media is trying to do now, by both basically making believe that that what we're seeing from Joe Biden is just gaffes, is what they're trying to do is also make it seem like Bernie Sanders has no campaign. Bernie Sanders doesn't even get crowds. Bernie Sanders doesn't have momentum. Bernie Sanders is so 4 years ago. That's what they're doing, because it's very easy, if you're an ethical journalist, to find visuals of Bernie Sanders crowds versus Elizabeth Warren's crowds. But they're not doing that because they don't want to tell that story. Need any more proof? Take a look at this, folks.
And a large lead for all of the Democratic frontrunners there. Tell us what this news means for the president. How seriously are they taking these numbers?
I mean, what Harry was pointing to with the economy, I think that, that number is problematic for sure for the president, because this is the
Did you see anything wrong there? Did you see anything that looked a little out of sorts? I'll play it one more time for you.
And a large lead for all of the Democratic frontrunners there. Tell us what this news means for the president. How seriously are they taking these numbers?
I mean, what Harry was pointing to with the economy, I think that, that number is problematic for sure for the president, because this is the
So apparently, Bernie Sanders beating Donald Trump in a head-to-head poll by 14 points, and Elizabeth Warren beating him by 12 points. Apparently, 12 is larger than 14. So 12 is up here, and 14 is down here. See how that works? And by the way, this is head-to-head polls against Donald Trump. So, in fairness, Elizabeth Warren right now in that poll was beating Donald Trump by 12 points. That ain't bad. Not too shabby, I'd say. But Bernie Sanders was beating him by 14 points. Somehow, on CNN's graphic, Bernie Sanders was below Elizabeth Warren. I saw the people on Twitter, producers make mistakes. A mistake is one time, a mistake is two times. Is he really? I've seen this happen on MSNBC and CNN multiple times. And not to take credit or anything, but I spotted it that day. I tweeted out, hey, CNN, do you not understand how math works? And, not that, CNN is following my feed or anything, but just 2 hours later.
These are also some really interesting numbers, because part of Joe Biden's strength has been this case that he's making to Democratic primary voters that he's the most electable. But take a look at these head-to-head matchups in this Quinnipiac poll. Almost every single one of the Democratic frontrunners are beating Donald Trump in a head-to-head matchup. Biden with a big lead. Bernie Sanders, 53 to 39% over President Trump, as is Elizabeth Warren, as is Kamala Harris, as is Pete Buttigieg. So Democrats right now believe that they've got a strong case that...
What a crisp graphic, where numbers make sense, where you got Biden up at top, Bernie, who apparently isn't electable, and it'll be a landslide. Trump will win with a landslide against Bernie Sanders. Oh my God. Greg G. Jordan, math says we're all going to Jimmy in 5 minutes. Take a hike, Greg. If you have to inform me you're going to Jimmy, goodbye. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Literally. They put up a graphic that is clearly wrong. The anchor sees it on air. Okay, sometimes, let's say a producer does make a mistake. The anchor has the monitor right in front of him. It's the anchor's responsibility, if there's a mistake, to say, not be disrespectful to their producers, but like, oh, we made an error, it's supposed to be this. He don't say a word. And then, not to say that I'm, dictating CNN's coverage here, but I happen to tweet out this mistake. And 2 hours later, it's corrected on CNN. Just saying. I mean, honestly, if I had more time and Jen had more time, God knows you don't have no idea all the work we do behind the scenes to grow this company. I could watch CNN all day. I'd have to have IVs hooked up to me to be able to take it. But I could find examples of this constantly on CNN, on MSNBC. Yes, purges off the voting rolls are important. Yes. Yes, voter suppression, election fraud are important, but this is way more important because this is the day-to-day mental rigging and brainwashing these networks are doing. Noam Chomsky calls it manufacturing consent for a reason, folks. Dana, you're a blue check person on Twitter. Thank you, Dana. Now we got to get status quo. Blue checked. And by the way, for those of you watching, I'm going to be a little selfish right now. I'm 50 Twitter followers away from 90,000. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, I don't know if I'm going to sleep tonight because I'm upset if you don't follow me on Twitter. At Jordan Chariton. And follow Jen while you're at it. At Jen Elizabeth, I think. Jen, put it all in the super chat. 50 away from 90,000. Jordan's in cahoots with CNN, please. I can't even, CNN won't even give me a credential. CNN gives me credentials at debates to go stand in the parking lot. Whoa, Corey! $57 in the GoFundMe. Thank you, Corey. Getting us $68,125. Corey, I know you've donated many, many times. Thank you. Keep it coming if you can. Ooh, can we get to 68,200 before this live stream ends? I am going to end in a few minutes. Not because Jimmy's going live, but because I am going live Sunday. So I do need to prepare for that. And part of preparing for that, I got to end a little earlier so I could start browsing around. And if you have ideas for Sunday's live stream, email info@statusquo.com. info@statusquo.com. Jen wrote, help Jordan's ego. It is, I'm not going to lie, it would help my ego if I get to 90,000 Twitter followers. I'm going to a barbecue, I'm going to a baby, a 1-year-old baby's birthday party tomorrow. Gag me. I'd rather not go, but I have to. Not my family, a friend's kid. Would love to showcase my 90,000 Twitter followers. And Sunday I'm going to a housewarming party. Wouldn't mind it. I think it's important to just admit where you have an ego. And Twitter, I wouldn't mind it. So, we're going to have some important stories Sunday. I want to give you a little teaser. On an interview we're going to have Sunday. For those of you that watch Status Quo religiously, a couple weeks ago I interviewed a gentleman. His name is Scott Desnoyers. And it's a really tragic story, but a story that happens all too often in America. His son Danny, who did have some mental health issues, didn't know that he owed $20 on his health insurance. He had a bill that wasn't paid worth $20. So his insurance company, for-profit insurance company, basically kicked him off health insurance. They discontinued his plan without him knowing it. So when he went to go fill his prescription, he was told, yeah, you're not covered. Your health insurance has been ended. He paid the bill right away, but there was going to be a 3-week gap because they said, okay, you paid your bill, you'll be effective as of May 1st. Well, what was he going to do for those 2-3 weeks without his mental health medication that he needs? And he had a depression as well as a little bit of psychosis. So Danny, unfortunately, got so depressed and obviously suicidal that he superglued his seatbelt to himself and he drove off a bridge into a river. And he's no longer with us. This was over $20. So I interviewed his father, Scott, who has been really, really fighting ever since this. He's taking his mourning and grief and trying to make something positive out of it. So he's been fighting for Medicare for all. Ro Khanna, on the floor of Congress, spoke out about what happened to Danny and the for-profit system that screwed Danny and deprived him of his life or death medication that he needed for his mental sanity. Nina Turner has tweeted Danny's story. Others have tweeted Danny's story. And so this was when Kamala Harris was still for Medicare for All, before she was for a fake Medicare for All. So did Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris tweeted the video that Now This News did with Scott, Danny's father, Scott, saying, quoting him, "My son is gone. That's my fire. I don't have anything left of him. But this fight is for him." Kamala Harris said no one should get cut from insurance because they're $20 short. The cost of health care is drowning far too many Americans. It's time we pass Medicare for all. This was in June 20th, when she was still pretending she was for actual Medicare for all, Bernie Sanders' plan. Well, after Kamala Harris moonwalked away from Medicare for all, well, Scott, a grieving father, didn't like Kamala Harris using the memory of his son to her political gain, when under Kamala Harris's plan, which, as the New York Times described, if you don't know much about Kamala Harris's plan, don't worry, because she wants to make sure you don't understand it. Instead of completely replacing private coverage with a government-run single-payer system based on traditional Medicare, Ms. Harris would allow people to choose plans modeled on Medicare Advantage, which would be run not by the government, but by private insurers. So basically, under Kamala Harris's plan, whenever it was implemented, which according to her is going to be in 10 years, so what's the point? Under Kamala Harris's plan, the same thing could have happened. Danny could have had his health care discontinued without him knowing. Danny could have paid it right away as soon as he found out his health care was discontinued, and a for-profit company, to save money, could have said, your health insurance will be effective in 3 weeks. Well, what if you need insulin? What if you need depression meds? What if you need bipolar meds? What if you need meds for schizophrenia? What if you need meds for... Name all the things you might need meds for. And mental health is life or death for some people. If they're not on their meds, they will go get suicidal. I interviewed Danny's father about this and more a little bit earlier. It's a long interview, but I'm just going to play you a short clip so you get a feel for what Scott has to say to Kamala Harris about using the image and the memory of his son when, frankly, she never meant and she never was truly behind Medicare for all.
If you were in front of Kamala Harris with that badass red beret, what exactly would you ask her? I mean, what would you say to her, and what would you want to know about her plan?
Well, no matter what, if you recall, Jordan, one of my promises is to be on the Senate floor and look at our state lawmakers, or our lawmakers, in the eye and show them what they've done to me. This is, again, just not me, but there's going to be other families that are affected, other lives just like mine. But they're going to look at me in the eye and see the consequences of their decision. If Kamala's lucky, she'll still be a senator at that time. She better be on that floor, because I do plan on looking at her directly. She knows what she did was a bait and switch. One second, my dog. Sorry, Loki, not right now. Go lay down. Yeah, Loki's missing my attention.
That's okay.
But no, you're right. I want to explain to Kamala, first off, the 10-year plan is ridiculous. That's saying she's going to keep a Democratic House, Senate, and presidency, her term, the second term, and the third term, to make sure that happens, as if Obamacare didn't get ripped apart in two. The fact that, as you mentioned earlier, that these insurance companies are still going to be in the driver's seat. So are their lobbyists, which are paying the campaigns to keep their laws in place. You're right. There's still going to be people killed on purpose because they want their money. These insurance companies don't care about people, they care about money. That's why their board members are there, that's why their CEOs are there, not for people. They're for money. So if I were to see Kamala face to face, I wouldn't even go around. I'd go straight for the jugular, and I want her to explain to me why she thought it was presidential of her to use a father's grief, anger, and pain of his son's suicide to promote his son's murderers. That's what I'd ask her. Why that's acceptable? Is it that important that you receive the presidency that this is acceptable behavior? That's what I'd ask her.
For the record, I don't think he meant physically the jugular. He's not doing anything physically to Senator Harris. But that whole interview, when everyone's at the beach Sunday, when everyone's at the bar, when everyone's at the barbecue, Status Quo will be live this Labor Day weekend, Sunday, noon Eastern. I hope you're here. I hope you're here, because I promise you nobody else will be. I don't know many other people. Working on Labor Day. But you want to know why we work on Labor Day? Because this country is so corrupt. This country is so unjust. This country is so based on economic, social Darwinism and an economic Hunger Games that sometimes you got to work holidays to expose it. And to keep it even more real, and thank you very much. Robert Asher just dropped $50 in the super chat in the GoFundMe. We're now at $68,175. To keep it even more real, we got to raise some dough, folks. We got to raise some dough. So that's why we're going live Sunday. So I hope you'll be there Sunday. We'll have that interview and some other things. Scott and I spoke for a half hour. There was a lot to talk about, a lot of emotional moments. But we're going live not only to inform you, not only to keep it real, but we got to raise money. Because unlike the corporate media, we're not sponsored by multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerates. We don't take money from banks. We don't take money from pharmaceuticals. We don't take money from oil. We don't take money from big real estate. We don't take money from Facebook. YouTube's trying to take our money. Keep it real. And we do not want money from major Republican and Democratic donors. We are growing from the ground up. I didn't mention it, but we're now at 696 Status Quo members. We passed 700 last week, but we had a few cancellations. Sometimes people's credit cards get declined or whatever. They fall on tougher times. They got to cut corners. So we got to get back over 700, and then the march to 1,000 begins. But I think on Sunday our focus is really, really going to be that GoFundMe, because honestly, I'm just being honest. We've spent a lot of the money from GoFundMe already on in-the-field reporting. So you might see $68,175, but we haven't waited till all the money came in to do what we said we were going to do. You've seen us. We've been in Flint, Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, Virginia, Dallas, Seattle, Vancouver, Las Vegas, Nevada, California. We've been so many places, and it ain't cheap to travel. And that's why Status Quo is unique. I love Jimmy Dore, even though he's not responding to my text messages, and I think he's mad at me. Tell Jimmy I apologize. Love you, Jimmy. Respond to me. I'll make it up to you. But we're a little different than Jimmy and Secular Talk and Lee and all these places. Not any better, not any worse, but we're a little different because we have a bit of a different financial bar to meet, and that is because an average reporting trip, frankly, it costs between $2,000 and $3,000. So, not to say, you know, what they do isn't really important. I am informed by Jimmy and Lee and all those things. We love them. But we do have different financial bars to meet. And that's why we really, really appreciate everything you guys have done. I mean, to think 1,509 people have donated to this thing, it's unbelievable. And that GoFundMe, like I've said, it's not really 11 months. We've raised that in 8 months. 3 out of 11 months, we didn't mention GoFundMe once because we were not able to go live for 3 months. So it's really, in 8 months, we've raised almost $70,000 from people. The largest amount we got was $5,000 from a viewer who wanted to be anonymous, but not a celebrity, not a plutocrat. Your marketing person says, yes, we are better due to our investigations and original in-the-field reporting. Well, I don't think we need to be better than our comrades, Jimmy and Secular Talk. I don't know. We're not better. We're just different. We're just different. We do different things, but there's space for everybody in this sandbox. But we do have a different bar to meet. Chip Walter, Jordan, do you like Tim Black? I think he's so funny with his Warren impressions. On that, I will be silent. No comment on that. So, that, by the way, to be clear, that's not a negative statement. That's a no comment.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, but I love Lee. I love Kyle. I love Mike from the Humanist Report. I love Jamal Thomas. Who else am I forgetting? Abby Martin. The Gray Zone Project. Max Blumenthal. Ben Norton. I think that's all the people I watch. So, I'll see you on Sunday, noon Eastern. Be fun. Maybe, because it's Labor Day weekend, maybe I'll indulge in one watermelon beer. Jen's going to yell at me, but I might have a watermelon beer next to me. Just one. But I'm not going to the beach. I'm not going to the bar.
But they can watch you while they're at the beach.
Yes, you can watch me while you're at... Oh, Aaron Mate, yes, but he's part of the Gray Zone Project. Thank you, I forgot Aaron. Love him. Love Aaron. David Dole, the Rational National. Yes. Henry, stop making me look bad. You're right. Love the Rational National, and Aaron has done great work. So I might have a watermelon beer here, and you could have whatever you want. A beer, some whiskey, some vodka, some tea, some ash, some hash. Whatever you want. Join me Sunday. Jen, by the way, has 2 children. You know Jen wants to be with her kids. I told her to be with her kids, and somebody will put in the links. But Jen is sticking with us too. So thank you for watching today. Thanks for the GoFundMe. Remember, GoFundMe does not sleep. GoFundMe doesn't sleep either. Neither do I. You could leave a GoFundMe amount anytime you want. I know it looks far right now. 17,000 away from 85,000, but I believe in teamwork. You can't make a dream work without teamwork. Oh, does that rhyme?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. We're a team here. So thank you. Statusquo.com/join to become a member. I'll see you on Sunday. Remember, most people are not lacking compassion. Most people have no earthly idea what is going on in this world. You are now dismissed to go watch the great Jimmy Dore. Peace out.